back to the channel. Now, September 2025 officially went down as my busiest month of the year for vinyl pickups and pre-orders. And this is a part 2 video of my vinyl haul for that month. So if you haven't already watched part 1, definitely check it out after this video. I've covered everything from kind of Rhino high fidelity to Mo-Fi and even some amazing rough trade exclusives in that video. But for now, let's get straight into what I found, or rather what found its way into my collection this month. Alright, let's kick things off with an absolute true classic. It is Jimi Hendrix, Axis, Bold as Love. Now I've been after a copy of this legendary album for ages. I've never really found a pressing that I wanted to pick up in store. But the way that this came into my life was kind of funny actually. So I was in my local record shop in Swindon called Red House Records, which is a fantastic record shop if you're ever down in Wiltshire. It's worth checking out. But I was with my little girl, my toddler, the 3-year-old, and I was flipping through the racks while she was kind of exploring the store, as she normally does, and playing on like the electronic drums and things like that, which is nice for her to do while I can concentrate on digging. But she actually came over to the records and started looking through the kind of overstocked shelves, if you will, just below the racks. And she pulled this out, which was nice. So this is from their surplus stock, all the way at the back. And she was like, "Daddy, this one." And I was like, "Oh, right, yeah, actually I have been looking for this. Let's see what pressing it is." And this is the 2017 George Marino mastering edition from Sony. I believe it's Sony Legacy, or at least Sony. Yeah, Sony Legacy. So yeah, I've been after this for such a long time, because I think, as a lot of you will kind of know about this George Marino cut, it apparently sounds amazing. And you know, George Marino's never kind of missed, in my opinion. It's mastered at Sterling Sound. And this particular pressing is pressed at Record Industry over in the US. And this was priced at £26, which is amazing. It's got a low price really for such a great pressing. It sounds incredible. It's the stereo mix. And I think for me, that's where it's at with this record, right? The panning effects across this album are just such a big part of the listening experience. So I don't really get why anyone would want a mono copy of this record, but you know, I won't yuck other people's yum and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, fantastic album, a really great representation of this record, and just so pleased to finally own it. And now on to one that kind of broke the internet and the vinyl community when it was announced that this was coming out. Is of course Buckingham Nicks. This is the 2025 Rhino high fidelity pressing. Yeah, fantastic pickup, this one, after kind of decades of people waiting for this to be reissued, because it was only ever pressed, I think it was only 3 times it was pressed back in 1973. They've never done anything with this since officially. There's been loads of bootlegs of this, which I've never really wanted to pick up because the bootlegs are nearly as expensive as the originals. But yeah, they finally did it. Rhino, well done to you, because Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks' debut album is officially in the hands of so many people for the first time since 1973. And I think a lot of people, like the general public, probably didn't really realise this existed, just because it's been out of print for so long. So I was really pleased to be able to pick up the Rhino high fidelity edition of this, and it's mastered by Kevin Gray, pressed at Optimal Media like all the Rhino hi-fis are, and it is absolutely stellar. Fantastic reissue. I had no issues with this at all from a quality perspective, and the mastering, you know, Kevin's just knocked it out of the park. It's super dynamic. The guitars on this really shine. That's probably the thing that surprised me the most, is that Lindsey's guitars sound fantastic. Even the acoustic numbers, you can kind of hear the fingers on the fretboard, which is just really nice detail and really nice intimacy when you're listening to this record, especially on headphones. Just has that really natural feel. But then you've also got some kind of rocky numbers on this, like Frozen Love. It's one of my favourite tracks from this record, and you can definitely see how Lindsay and Stevie were just such a key element of what would eventually become the kind of second generation of Fleetwood Mac when they joined the band after being invited by Mick Fleetwood, of course. There's loads of videos about this record and all the different editions that have dropped alongside it. You've got a Kevin Gray cut, which is this one, and then you've got a Chris Bellman cut as well, which is like the wide release. If you want people to just to see shootouts and things like that, I'm probably not going to do it because loads of other people have done that already. So go and check out their videos. But I think a lot of people are unanimous, yes, in their decision that this is probably the definitive version for now. It even beats out the OG. So I'm really happy to have picked up this copy. Yeah, love it. So there you go, Buckingham Nicks, their debut album. Next up, we are jumping into something a bit more modern. So, well, modern in the sense that this is a modern band. This is Nation of Language's latest record, Dance Called Memory, which has got a fantastic cover there. Nice bag of black cherries there. But yeah, I think I've spoken about this band before on my videos, but I've also talked about it on a live stream on Chris Mann's The Vinyl Man channel. So if you've not checked out The Vinyl Man, check him out. Fantastic channel. He always has live streams every weekend, and I've joined one of them. I've been fortunate to join one of those, and we talked at length about this band, myself and Richard's Vinyl Tap House as well, another great channel. So yeah, check those guys out. But yeah, I'd say if you haven't heard Nation of Language, you know, I think probably the easiest way to kind of compare them to is they've got this really kind of heavy 80s sound with kind of modern production and a modern twist to it. So if you're into like OMD, New Order, early Depeche Mode as well, I can hear a bit of that in there. This will be right up your street. They're a fantastic group, and this is a fantastic instalment into their discography as well. This is their 4th record, and this is the Rough Trade exclusive. I'm not sure if all of the wide releases have this, but on this exclusive there's almost like a foil, if I hide my face there, there's like a foil tape on this which goes round. It's almost like a sticker. It's really cool. Nice little kind of design artifact on there. There's the back cover, and then I'll show you the bit that actually drew me to this exclusive, because I was kind of umming and ahhing which ones pick up. I went for the Oxblood and Blue split, and I'll just get out that sleeve so you can see it nicely. There you go. Which is a really nice effect on the vinyl. Matches obviously the cherries and the blue colour of the front cover, I like that kind of thing when I'm collecting coloured vinyl at least. It's got to have some sort of theme to it. Yeah, and this one really surprised me. It sounds amazing. Seriously, this is probably the best Nation of Language record I've picked up on vinyl in terms of sound-wise and quality-wise, because normally a lot of them are just pressed at like GZ or somewhere like that. But yeah, this one sounds great. I'm not too sure where it's pressed actually. It sounds fantastic. It's really heavyweight, 180 gram at least. It might even be 200 gram vinyl. I just like the little flourishes on the artwork. Like for instance, that tape is just a nice little design artifact they've included with this. It kind of reminds me of those like New Order releases that Peter Saville would have done back in the day, where there's always some sort of thing, some tactile thing on the release that just set it out amongst all the others, and that was really, really cool. And this is actually the first vinyl I've ever picked up where the inner sleeve, the card in the sleeve, is actually thicker than the outer sleeve. It's a bit weird. I don't know if that's intentional or it was just card stock got mixed up at the production plant, who knows. But yeah, sonically punchy, you know, it's really dynamic as well, which is what you want from a kind of a synth focused record. You want those highs and those lows to kind of come out really nicely, and the vocals sit nicely in the mix as well. So yeah, Nation of Language, Dance Called Memory, really happy with this pickup, and definitely check them out if you haven't already. Now here's a bit of 90s nostalgia from the Britpop era. It is Echobelly's On Now this was reissued by Music on Vinyl for its 30th anniversary, believe it or not. And this one it's a really sentimental one for me, because I remember my dad, when we were in the car, he would, 9 times out of 10, he would have this on, or OMD, or Gary Newman, which is a weird mix, right? We wouldn't put them up against Gary Newman, I guess, but yeah, he was a big fan of this record, and it was around the time that I was just properly starting to get into music, and I really vibed with it as well. It's just a classic slice of that kind of mid-90s Britpop sounds, catchy and melodic, and just so of the era. Very kind of loud, quiet, sorry, other way around, quiet, loud, quiet guitar music, which is just fantastic. I love that kind of stuff. And I'm really happy to finally pick this one up. And this one has actually been reissued on coloured vinyl for the 30th anniversary. I'll just show that to you now. It's a nice kind of grey or black and white kind of marbled, which results in a grey kind of marble effect on the vinyl, which is really nice. It's well pressed, well cut. As with all kind of music on vinyl releases, it's cut from a digital file. It's not analog. I'm not too sure if this was recorded to tape. I'd imagine it might have been, because it was kind of mid-90s and they were still recording to tape back then. But it could have been digital as well. I'll never know. I'll look that up, I guess. But yeah, to me, it's not an audiophile record by any means, but this, despite it being cut from a digital file, it sounds way better than the streaming version, but it's just not quite an audiophile mix. There's kind of I'd say there's a lack of like low end, and the drums kind of have that almost like floaty sound to them. But it's still a really fun listen, still better than the streaming version. So if you're a big fan of this album, I'd say it's worth picking this record up while you still can. I think there's 1,000 of these pressed for this anniversary, and then there's another variant of it as well. But yeah, if you want the kind of music on vinyl style, which I don't know if it'll come up on the camera, they kind of had this almost like fabric-y kind of effect on their covers, and they're all numbered as well. So you'll see there it's numbered. What's the number? 576. There you go. So what I'd really love to happen is if this record got an analog remaster, if it was recorded to tape, or just a remaster in general, just to really bring up that bass guitar and also make sure the drums really hit you. But to be honest, I'm just really happy to have this one on vinyl finally. I've been looking at it for years, trying to get an OG, and I've never really found a super clean version of it. So yeah, glad to have this. It's a great addition to my collection, Echobelly's On. And last but definitely not least, it is John Coltrane's A Love Supreme, and this is the new mono edition, mastered by Ryan K. Smith. And this is easily my most anticipated release of September, although I think originally it was intended to come out in October, but it landed on my doorstep in September, so I was really happy about that, and I'm absolutely not complaining about getting it early. This is a AAA cut from the original mono master tapes, or at least a backup mono tape by Ryan K. Smith at Sterling Sounds, and it's pressed at RTI, and honestly this is the definitive version of this record for me. I've been hunting an OG mono for a few years now, but they're either too pricey, or there's just not quite clean, and it's going to probably dampen my experience of listening to it. So this reissue just nails it for me. Ryan's mastering just really captures everything that makes this record spiritual and transcendent, and I think a lot of people kind of describe it as just being really human. I guess I kind of get that. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It sounds weird to say, but yeah, it's one of those albums where you can just sit back and close your eyes, and it completely takes over you for what is probably like 35 minutes, if that. Even the presentation of this record is kind of spot on. So I'll just take it out of its sleeve there. You've got the front cover produced really nicely, and then you've got if I hold my face, it says mono there, which is nice, and then the same on the back, obviously. that kind of mirrored effect, that lovely, really focused picture of John Coltrane there on the front. And what they've done that's really nice is it's quite faithful to the original. They've removed the barcode that normally comes up on these kind of modern reissues of this record. So that was nice to see. And then they've completely represented the original gatefold as well. A nice tip-on jacket. It's a glossy tip-on jacket as well. Very similar to those. I'd say it's very accurate in comparison to the original Impulse releases, right? Very accurate. Nice representation of the prayer and the notes there from or the letter rather, to the listener from John Coltrane. Absolutely adore Impulse records and the way that they look, because stylistically they just look amazing. They got that kind of classic 60s label there. I don't know if you can see that very well. There you go. Yeah, lovely representation of the original label. Yeah, I love that. The fact it's got that classic orange and black label and not the kind of ABC Impulse Records label, and they've gone faithful to the original. Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty gushing at this point. This is my favourite release of the year so far, or favourite reissue at least of the year so far, hands down. Just an incredible pickup, and I urge anyone who has got a stereo, either hasn't got this record in their collection or has got a stereo copy, to hunt out this mono edition as well, because it's just a different listening experience. And to my mind, this is the superior version, the definitive way to listen to this album. I think it's in the way that Coltrane originally intended as well. He sits nicely in the mix. He's a part of the band again, where in those stereo releases, it's very, very widely panned, and it almost feels like Coltrane's in a completely different room to the rest of the band. They've got rid of that, of course, with this mono edition. There's the depth there, and you can hear every single instrument on this recording, and all the detail has not been sacrificed. So there you go, a lovely quick review of John Coltrane's A Love Supreme, the mono edition. Okay, so that wraps up my part 2 of my September 2025 vinyl pickups. And between both videos, this has genuinely been my biggest and probably most exciting month for vinyl collecting yet. From these kind of rare box sets and audiophile editions to these kind of affordable gems as well that I've just not picked up originally, and they're still so affordable. And they sound way better than I expected to, which is always great to hear. So if you haven't caught part 1 yet, make sure to check that one out next on my channel. It's packed with even more great records and reissues. And let me know down in the comments if there's anything that you've picked up recently or throughout September that you think I should be paying attention to, something that's kind of blown you away and didn't realise it was as good as it was going to be. Or just something that you're really, really into at the moment. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to be a part of that discussion with you. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.